You're listening to an iHeart podcast.
Being able to say, I feel like crying, so I will cry. Today, I'm a little depressed.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and Deeply Well is a sanctuary for your healing. I'm Debbie Brown, healer, well-being expert, teacher, and fellow seeker. And each week, we explore what it means to become whole through soul-expanding conversations and practices.
Today, wow, I feel really powerful and ready to serve and use my skills. And it's like, that's the heart of what it is to be an authentic woman.
To hear this and more ways to prioritize your peace, listen to Deeply Well from the Black Effect Podcast Network on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
I'm Andrea Gunning, host of the podcast Betrayal. Police Lieutenant Joel Kern used his badge to fool everyone, most of all, his wife, Caroline.
He texted, "I've ruined our lives. You're going to want to divorce me."
How far would he go to cover up what he'd done?
The fact that you lied is absolutely horrific, and quite frankly, I question how many other women are out there that may bring forward allegations in the future.
Listen to Betrayal starting on May 22nd on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Why is a soap opera western like Yellowstone so wildly successful? The American West with Dan Flores is the latest show from the Meat Eater Podcast Network. So join me starting Tuesday, May 6th, where we'll delve into stories of the West and come to understand how it helps inform the ways in which we experience the region today.
Listen to The American West with Dan Flores on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
In 2020, a group of young women found themselves in an AI-fueled nightmare.
Someone was posting photos. It was just me naked. Well, not me, but me with someone else's body parts.
This is Levittown, a new podcast from iHeart Podcasts, Bloomberg, and Kaleidoscope about the rise of deepfake pornography and the battle to stop it. Listen to Levittown on Bloomberg's Big Take podcast. Find it on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Clayton English.
I'm Greg Glott.
And this is season 2 of the War on Drugs podcast.
Yes, sir. Last year, a lot of the problems of the drug war. This year, a lot of the biggest names in music and sports.
It's kind of star-studded a little bit, man.
We met them at their homes. We met them at their recording studios. Stories matter, and it brings a face to them.
It makes it real.
It really does. It makes it real.
Listen to new episodes of the War on Drugs podcast season 2 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Still the Place with Laura Layton,
Courtney Thorne-Smith,
and Daphne Zuniga, an iHeartRadio podcast.
Okay, we are super excited today. Welcome to Still the Place. We have a very special guest star, Lisa Rinna.
Lisa!
Yay! Oh my God.
It's so good to see you,
I said
girls.
guest star. I should have said guest, but I got all excited and I got all flustered. It is so good to see you. We chatted way too. I'm always saying, save it for the show. But I saw you in the lobby, and then we've already chatted so much.
So fun. We go way back. I mean,
we go way
not
back.
only on the show, but in our personal lives.
Yeah.
You know,
we were neighbors in the fancy Malibu colony. Hello.
I know.
Very nice. So on the way in
fancy.
today, I listened to Lisa and Harry's podcast, which is adorable.
Thank you.
And the reason I had to accost you in the lobby is because, so we were neighbors when you were pregnant with and had given birth to Delilah.
Yes.
So it was a very special time.
Yes.
And when I was listening to the podcast, I had this memory of being with you and Harry in that time and remembering how sweet you guys are together and how loving you are to each other, what good friends you are and romantic. And the podcast really shows that.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Just to sit there and get to hang out with such a loving, connected, supportive couple. It brought me right back.
I love that.
So it was sweet to go back to that time.
I love that. That makes me feel good.
No, it's true.
Yeah,
no,
even
we're
when
very
you guys
lucky.
are talking about how opposite you are,
Yeah.
like you did recently,
Yes.
you always talk about how the differences are.
Yes.
And the one I heard recently was, well, how does it work? What are the things that are similar, about each other? But I think it's just when you meet someone, it just feels like you've met a soulmate.
I think it is. I mean, people ask us all the time, as you know, when you've been married for 27, 28 years, they're like, what's the secret? And, I've thought about it a lot. I don't think there's a secret. I think it's luck. I really do. I just think it's luck. I think we came together. It works for whatever reason, and we're just lucky.
Well, you guys enjoy each other. That's what comes through in the podcast. And you were talking, you said you haven't had any guests yet because you guys like chatting with each other.
It's true. We have not had one
You're
guest.
having so much fun.
We're having so much
in the
fun.
corner hello, I'm here.
I know. We keep saying we're going to have a guest on, and then we go, and I learn more about him than I mean, you think at this point, 32 years together, you'd know everything about the person that you're married to. I don't. And all of a sudden, it's just, I stay so curious. And I think that's what makes it interesting because stories come out of him. I mean, he is a storyteller through and through. And he's lived, many different lives. So I find it so interesting when we start to talk about different topics. Yeah. It's just really been fun.
So what have you recently learned about him that surprised you?
I did not know that he got a subscription to Playboy at 11. His parents, his parents,
or a prescription for Playboy.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. He was prescribed Playboy
by the parents at age 11. And not for his brother. Under the Christmas tree, a subscription to Playboy.
What?
Yes. Well, and the brother, who's 2 years older, did not get that. And I said, "What? They thought you were gay, right? They were afraid you were going to be gay."
Was that it?
He said probably he didn't know for sure because at the time you're just like, "Wow." He was like, "Wow, I got a Playboy." He thought it was the coolest thing.
So this was the early 70s, probably, right?
60s.
Okay.
And so because Harry Hamlin got a subscription to Playboy from his parents at 11.
Yes.
Is that what inspired you to do Playboy?
No, because I didn't really know about it, I think it's interesting that I ended up doing it when he has this subscription.
For those of you who don't remember, Lisa posed for Playboy pregnant, insanely gorgeous. And really, we're an icon for people saying, oh my God, I get to be beautiful and sexy when I'm pregnant.
And I did that while I was on Melrose.
Yes.
And the story goes, I had said, I want to do this. And we reached out and they said, well, Hef needs to see... Hef needs to see Polaroids. Remember, at the time, there's no cell phones. He said, Hef needs to see Polaroids of me pregnant. And I thought, okay, so I had the makeup girl, one of the makeup artists, I can't remember her name, come to my trailer. Remember we had the paneling?
Yeah.
Brown paneling on the trailers?
All trailers, brown paneling.
Brown paneling, which, by the way, is good lighting and it's kind of warm and nice. So she came in and I said, it was right before Valentine's Day, and I said, I want to take these pictures for Harry for Valentine's Day of me naked. And she was like, oh, okay. And she just took them, and we literally put them in an envelope and sent them off. And I guess he thought they were good enough for me to pose nude pregnant.
In the Melrose Place trailer. That's
but
awesome.
Isn't it funny? Only in Hollywood would you say to someone, you come take naked pictures of me. They're like, sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
sure.
We feel just like, sure.
Yeah.
During lunch hour, it's
was.
like such a, okay.
It literally was. I was working.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, sure. That feels right.
Yeah. It felt really right to me. She had no problem with it. She shot off like 4 or 5 Polaroids, and that was that.
And you know what? I think Calvin Klein stole that for his. Remember Calvin Klein's campaign for Calvin Klein when the jeans, and they were against all of this wood paneling, and they're like nothing but naked jeans, and I'm like,
that's right.
They leaked them.
Hilarious.
You were the original.
They're still somewhere in that house.
You set the bar, Lisa.
Yeah.
Oh, you do? You still have the Polaroids?
I still have them somewhere.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So did you get a lot of positive feedback from women for doing that?
At the time, there was no social media. There was no feedback that you could really tangibly get. So, I probably had everything, but that was the bliss of not knowing back in the day.
That's so true.
Think about it. I had no idea.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Now, if I did it today, I'm sure there would be many people with a lot to say.
Yeah.
That was the
on
beauty
all
back then.
ends of the spectrum, you'd hear,
We were naive. We had no idea.
That was the beauty of back then, wasn't it? You could just do you, learn as you went, redo something if you didn't like how it felt doing it. But it wasn't like you do something and the world has an opinion instantly.
Yeah.
So that leads to my question, Lisa. I've wanted to know this for a while. When we knew you, I never worked with you on Melrose because I left before you came on.
That's right.
But
I came at
I knew
season
you
5.
through other ways somehow. Yeah. But But you were an actress, and before that you did the soap, and you had been acting. So then you choose to do the Housewives, and you choose to, there's nothing to hide behind. It's not only you, but it's exposing all of you.
Yeah.
What was that like for you to go and let everyone in and be you without a script?
It's challenging, but also not, because again, you're still on camera. You're still interacting with other women. So, you know, again, it's reality, but yet you guys are we're filming, you know, we're doing a television show. Mm-hmm. So the part about it that I think was difficult is, you know, once it aired, the fan reaction to you being yourself in that environment. Mm-hmm. And of course you can't be your full self, because you're still like in an environment where they want conflict with women, which I'm not used to. I mean, we do it on camera as an actor, no problem. That was the hard part, is having conflict with other women.
Yeah, because you're a girl's girl.
I'm a girl's girl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, again, though, I'm an actor who takes really good direction, right? We take really good direction. Somebody tells us to do something, you go, okay, I know it needs to be done. So I was very good at doing that, and I was very good at bringing, you know, good television to television, but it's real to you, and you can't just drop it at the end of the day. You take it home, you take it personally, and I found that very difficult.
And you can't do a take two, like maybe I should have said that sounded too snarky, or, you know.
It's there, it's done, and it lives forever.
Yeah.
I mean, as you know.
One of the interesting things that you and Harry talked about on the podcast was, well, there were two things I thought were super interesting. Number one, you said that each cast member has to pay for her own parties.
And your own hair and makeup and wardrobe.
Wow. Really?
So imagine that. That's the part that's the hardest, because we're used to being dressed and
they did it.
Guys, imagine.
Oh my gosh.
For all your own parties, hair and makeup, because they want your real life. They want it to be, I still don't buy it. I think that wardrobe,
they're just cheap,
and hair and makeup should be covered.
Obviously.
Yeah. I really do. That was the hardest thing for me.
Because you're in a world that they want you to be in. Like at home, you don't do your hair and makeup every single day, but you're in their world. So they should pay for how they want you to look in their world, how they demand you look, and then maybe pay for
that's the thing. Their take on it is you should look how you look, because this is your life. And so they want that. But I didn't love that part of it, because I spent all my money on hair and makeup and wardrobe. You know what I mean? It just, you spend it all.
Yo, K-pop fans, it's your boy Bomhan, and I'm bringing you something epic. Introducing the K Factor, the podcast that takes you straight into the heart of K-pop. We're talking music reviews, exclusive interviews, and deep dives into the industry like never before. From producers and choreographers to idols and trainees, we're bringing you the real stories behind the music that you love. And yeah, we're keeping it 100, discussing everything from comebacks and concepts to the mental health side of the business. Because K-pop isn't just a genre, it's a whole world, and we're exploring every corner of it. And here's the best part. Fans get to call in, drop opinions, and even join us live at events. You never know where we might pop up next. So listen to the K Factor on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. Are you ready? Let's go.
The American West with Dan Flores is the latest show from the Meat Eater Podcast Network, hosted by me, writer and historian Dan Flores, and brought to you by Velvet Buck. This podcast looks at a West available nowhere else. Each episode, I'll be diving into some of the lesser-known histories of the West. I'll then be joined in conversation by guests such as Western historian Dr. Randall Williams and best-selling author and Meat Eater founder Stephen Rinella.
I'll correct my kids now and then where they'll say when cave people were here. And I'll say, it seems like the Ice Age people that were here didn't have a real affinity for caves. You know?
So join me starting Tuesday, May 6th, where we'll delve into stories of the West and come to understand how it helps inform the ways in which we experience the region today.
Listen to The American West with Dan Flores on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
On November 5th, 2018, at 6:33 a.m., a red Volkswagen Golf was found abandoned in a ditch out in Sleep Hole Valley. The driver's seat door was open. No traces of footsteps leaving the vehicle. No belongings were found, except for a cassette tape lodged in the player. On that tape were 10 vile,
No! Ah!
grotesque,
Oh my God.
horrific stories that to this day have been kept restricted from the public until now. You feeling this too? A horror anthology podcast. Listen on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
In 1978, Roger Caron's first book was published, and he was unlike any first-time author Canada had ever seen.
Roger Caron was 16 when first convicted.
Has spent 24 of those years in jail.
12 years in solitary.
He went from an ex-con to a literary darling almost overnight.
He was instantly a celebrity.
He was an adrenaline junkie, and he was the star of the show.
Go Boy is the gritty true story of how one man fought his way out of some of the darkest places imaginable.
I had a knife go in my stomach, puncture my spleen, break my rib. I had my guts all in my hands.
Only to find himself back where he started.
Roger's saying is, I've never hurt anybody but myself. And I said, oh, you're so wrong. You're so wrong on that one, Rod.
From Campside Media and iHeart Podcasts, listen to Go Boy on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The #1 hit true crime podcast, The Girlfriends, is back with something new, The Girlfriends Spotlight. Our first 2 series introduce you to an incredible gang of women who teamed up to fight injustice, showing just how powerful sisterly solidarity can be. And we're keeping this mission alive with the Girlfriends Spotlight. Each week, a different woman sits down with me, Anna Sinfield, to share their incredible story of triumph over adversity. Like Tracy, who survived a terrifying attack.
I remembered that feeling of, okay, this is how I die.
And turned that darkness into the most incredible journey.
I want to take over the world and just leave this place better than I found it.
Which took her all the way to Paris for the Paralympic Games.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
So come and join our girl gang. Listen to The Girlfriend Spotlight on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
So this is giving me such insight. Some point was offered.
Of course you were.
Right.
I'm sure they all
and
come to you.
I wasn't interested in doing it, but like this is such a revelation because I was always like, yeah, no, I'm not glamorous and I'm not a Beverly Hills housewife. I don't self-identify. Like I don't feel like I would fit. That would not fit me. And now I see, oh my God, it definitely. I can't imagine if I was doing like my own clothes and oh my gosh.
Imagine. I mean, it's a lot of work to dress
amazing.
yourself, even just every time you have a dinner, a lunch, travel. I mean, it's a lot.
I don't think people know
They
that.
don't.
And you look so fabulous all the time, and you did that.
Thank you. It just, on our show, what happened was Erica Jane came on season, whatever it was, and she came on at the level that was this high, right? So at that point, we weren't really like dressing crazy and doing a lot of, fashion. She came on and we were like, oh, we got to step our game up. And we all felt it. So everybody like rose up to that. So it's interesting how it ebbs and flows with who's on the show.
Yeah. And what season was that? When that
I came on season 5 for that show too. So I come on shows.
That's season 5. That's your number.
And she probably came on 7. I think, or she came on right after me.
Yeah, so one of the things that came up in the podcast that was, again, such a sweet moment between you and Harry is someone had asked if you were going to go back. And he said, I don't think I would let you because it was so hard on you. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a
it was
good
such
husband.
a sweet
Yeah.
moment of him
Protect you.
Yeah.
really seeing how hard it was for
Yeah.
you and really caring
Yeah.
about you, which he so obviously does.
Yeah.
And so my question is, did it feel worth it? Like, obviously it was hard emotionally. And as you were talking about those events, it would feel like, you know, once a year I have to go to a lunch or a dinner that I dread where I don't feel comfortable. It feels like you had to do that every day.
Every day.
Wow.
Every day.
I can't even imagine.
At the time that it came around, I needed a change in my life. I needed to shake it up, and I knew it. And when I had gone into the very first auditions they had, so 5 years earlier, I had gone in and didn't end up getting it because at that point, Andy didn't want any actresses. He didn't want anybody who had a name. And so, you know, move along, you know, just keep doing my thing. And then 5 years later, when they came, I thought, you know what? Bravo is such good real estate right now. And that's the way I looked at it. Like business-wise, I had just started on QVC, and I saw, you know, what Bethany Frankel had done with her businesses on the show. And I thought, you know, this might be a good thing. 8 years later, I don't think I would change it because I think everything that I've done, as you know, it always leads to our next moment, and it's meant to be. But I also think I left at the right time.
Yeah. I mean, you got some good things. You got great. I mean, you have a great personality, you know, like some.
Well, thank you,
Well, you do. When you don't have a script, you have this like natural personality to be out there and engage with people. And so
I like
think it was a
people.
great thing for you. And I'm glad you left then.
Yeah.
And it did get you a chance to do other things as well. I don't know if you said the QVC came first, but
QVC came first. I had businesses while I did the show. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a super good thing while I did it.
Well, it's also good. Like, you're so honest and so willing to be open. One of the things you talked about on the podcast was
to my detriment on that kind of show, though.
Well,
You know?
I understand in the moment it feels like to your detriment, but I think it's really important to have authentic, honest, open-hearted
Absolutely.
people out there.
I
think
agree.
even though, yes, there are consequences to being open and honest, but it's still worth it to live your authentic life.
Yeah.
And you talked about experiencing postpartum in this really open, honest way. And at the time, you didn't have any references. So you are that reference for people. Like, this can happen, FYI. And you said in the podcast, you know, call your doctor and say, I don't know what it is, but I feel crazy because at the time you went through it, you had no frame of reference.
None. And it lasted 15 months.
Wow.
And imagine, you know, just silently suffering, really, and thinking that I really was just crazy and, you know, didn't know how to be a mother and, you know, on and on and on
the
and
feeling
on.
of failure and
Horrible.
It's devastating.
I mean, really devastating.
did the doctor not diagnose or help?
Well,
was there no
Not at the
awareness?
time because I didn't really share it with him.
Because it felt so shameful, probably.
It's all about the shame of it.
Yeah,
you know, I
so-
felt so shameful in front of Harry and my mom. And my mom had come and really helped out. And, you know, Harry thought I was crazy. He thought I had literally lost my mind. And so there was so much shame around it. It took 15 months for me to finally say, you know what? I have to call my doctor because I am not right. And so once I did, and Harry even saw me at one point and said, you need to call Howie, my doctor, right away.
Our doctor.
Our doctor,
He's
that's
seen
right.
He's seen my lady parts.
Howie
as well.
Deutsch.
Right.
He directed he directed
Different Howie. Different Howie. Just for the record. Totally different Howie.
We have the same OBGYN.
Howie Mandel. Howie.
Nope. Also not Howie Mandel.
Howie Mandel,
For the record,
OBGYN.
I'm feeling crazy,
That's
Howie.
right. I called Howie, and Howie was like, and we were in Canada. We were at our place in Canada. And he said, okay, I'm going to put you on an antidepressant. It's going to take 3 weeks to really kick in. I have to FedEx it to you. So I was just like holding on by a thread until I got it in my body. And I will say that it reset my clock, my whatever was going on within the 3 weeks. And then I only ended up being on it for like 4 months. And then I was able to titrate off of it. It saved my life.
Wow.
Saved my life.
So it was was it everyday depression? You couldn't get out of bed? Was it swinging moods?
Hopelessness.
Hopelessness.
It was hopelessness. And I even said on the podcast with Harry, I was having these visions. And a lot of people that have postpartum can relate to this. I didn't necessarily have visions of like killing Harry, but I had visions of knives. We had to get all the knives out of the house.
Oh, right.
I had visions of myself, and I've heard Brooke Shields speak of this. taking my car, driving my car just with me in it and hitting a brick wall, like smashing into a brick wall. Like, why? Why was I having those
your
visions?
hormones are crazy.
Yeah, hormones.
They
really,
drop from like
Yeah.
how we
Yeah.
said 3,000 to 0.
Yeah.
Like once I stopped breastfeeding because I had some trouble
And
breastfeeding.
maybe your body experiences that as a death and manifests in that other way because it's what a precipitous drop.
Right. It was brutal. It was really brutal.
I
But
remember having this. I've never been pregnant, or I've never. But during perimenopause.
yeah.
Where the first moment your hormones drop and change. I had visions.
Did you?
Yes. And I was just starting to date my now husband, and this poor guy was like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what if I, not if I run him over, but what if I just,
Okay.
what if I just kept going and pretend I didn't know him? Then I never have to see him again.
Oh my God. Something about hormones and women and husbands. It's like the weirdest thing.
It's the
I know.
hormones.
Yeah, I had a different postpartum, which is it manifested as I was super attached. I was afraid to leave my baby. I was afraid to leave him, and I was protecting him and me from the world. So I put in like a security door, and I put in an alarm. And at night, I would just go over emergency like disaster plans.
You were catastrophizing
I was thinking
big
like
time.
there would be a tidal wave, so I kind of projected it out against us. But as I'm talking to you, I'm going, oh, that's very similar.
It's very
it's slightly
similar.
different, but I thought it was coming from the outside. Like I would have visions at night. Literally, just think about this. Of like ninjas coming in. Like I have to protect myself from the ninjas.
Yeah.
So it's
Every
probably the
possible
same
scenario.
thing, just projected differently.
Yeah, it's just
Yes.
a little psychosis.
Did you have that?
Every
Laura,
possible
like the
scenario.
disaster
Every-
scenarios?
Every
Oh,
terrifying
interesting.
scenario. And you
I
know,
wonder if
yeah,
that's our fight or flight. Like it goes back to, caveman age. I don't know,
Yeah,
but it
maybe.
feels like something that we don't necessarily need right now, but maybe they needed it back in the day. I don't know. It's insane.
Yeah.
Well, you have this incredibly vulnerable, helpless thing. Like we're the only animal where a baby's come out and they can't do anything.
Nothing.
Like it's not like a horse who gets up and runs away. It's like they're just this completely vulnerable blob.
Yeah.
For a solid couple years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that is terrifying because it
It's
was
terrifying.
like, how do I get to him if there's an earthquake? How do I get to him and cover him? And it was like,
Interesting
I ended
that-
up like at a certain point sleeping in his crib.
No.
Because I was so like,
Okay,
I'd
so
go
that's
in.
how yours manifested.
That's how mine manifested. Yeah. So it can be, that's part of it too. I think that's confusing for people. It can be so many different things. So
Yeah.
important to get to the other side of the shame and just share whatever it is. Just to share it with friends or doctor, to just say, I'm having these, this is whatever, this thought is keeping me up at night.
Yeah. Help me.
Right? You only have a few hours to sleep. You need that sleep. Like try not
And
to
that
have
doesn't help.
that.
The lack of sleep. I mean, I was out of my mind.
Yeah.
I can literally
Wow.
say I was out of my mind.
Did it happen with your second?
It did, but we got on it right away. I mean, the minute it started happening, Harry
You knew
looked
what
at
it
me and
was.
said, call Howie right this second. It was in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it was. And I got right back on the antidepressant.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
well, hopefully you've helped some women who will then reach out sooner and not have to suffer. like you did.
Yes.
Yeah, it's nobody talks about it enough. Nobody talks about number one, how to be a mother, how to have a baby, and
there's
what
no
to
way
do
to
with it.
prepare us anyway. Like everybody says, "Oh, I feel so unprepared." Of course, because there's absolutely no way to prepare you for the most
Until you do it.
unbelievable-
Yeah.
Yeah. It's.
I mean,
Well, I think there's more now. I think like I have a lot of issues with social media, but I think a positive thing is you have a place to go. Like when I had Jack and I was in baby group, we had email at least.
Right.
So at 4 a.m, when you were up with your baby, you could send out an email and like 5 women would respond because we all had these tiny babies.
they're up.
But
Yeah.
now, like there's a whole world of people who are there
Yeah.
with their experience, strength, and
Yeah.
hope. Like we didn't have that then.
No, we didn't. I suffered in silence.
Yeah.
So no more suffering in silence.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
But you feel again, we're going to just dwell on your wonderful partnership. Did you feel even though it must have been really scary for Harry,
It was.
that there was a support, you were still a team,
Yeah.
or as much as you tried to break it
Yeah.
up?
Yeah, no, as
Your
much,
hormones?
He's
was
such
there
a
for you?
patient man. He
Yeah.
really is. I mean,
Yeah?
he has patience of a saint. And I think he just was like, he just got in there and helped,
Yeah.
He just helped out.
I just think that's so important that, that women can really try to cultivate and see their partner as a team player, because I think our hormones, whether it's postpartum or perimenopause or menopause or that time of the month when you're still having your period.
Yeah.
I feel like when men get scared, they don't understand. It's really minimized in our culture.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, crazy.
Yeah.
But, you know, there needs to be a support system there because you need to have some compassion around all that. And I just hope that there's more. There seems to be a movement right now, a moment about perimenopause and menopause.
Yes, I know. I'm so happy to see that too. I mean, women are really talking about it. I think Halle Berry's really been so in the forefront of that. Naomi Watts writing a book about it. Like finally we're talking about it. And
women's
because
health.
we're all of that age. Like, let's face it, we're all in it. I mean, I'm way out of it at this point. But I mean, nobody talks about taking hormones. Nobody talks about any of it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to be starting to talk about it.
What are some of the things that you do in this time of life? In this, I'm reading this wonderful book. It's Cheryl Richardson. It's called Self-Care in the Wisdom Years.
Ooh. Oh, I want to read
love
that.
term, the wisdom years. You know, because that's a new way to
I like that.
Talk about this as opposed to like, oh, you know, you're older. It's a beautiful time in so many ways. So I was just wondering if you have noticed like ways that you take care of yourself now that you didn't when you were younger? Or?
Well, you know, I think when you get to be this age and this wisdom and this era, I think back to myself in my 20s, and I was so hard on myself. I don't know if you guys were too. You probably were. We're just so hard on ourselves that I'm to a point now where I'm talking to other people saying, you know, if I were to go back and talk to my 20-year-old self, I would just say, everything's going to be okay. Yeah. You know, don't worry so much. Have more fun. And I think this is such a great point in life because you've been through it. You've survived. You've kind of come out the other end of it, really. And life is wonderful, you know? Yeah, we've been very blessed. I feel very blessed. I'm very grateful. And I love this time. Yeah. I was a mess in my 20s.
Yeah.
We talk about that all the time because, of course, we're rewatching Melrose Place and we're in our 20s. And just the intensity, it all felt so serious. And that's what's been fun about re-meeting all our friends now, which is we all are much better at wearing life like a loose shirt. Like we're just like, we know it doesn't matter. Almost everything I worried about then doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It doesn't matter. Oh. And you just, you know, I try to talk to my girls about that because, you know, they're living in this age of social media and
it matters even more than when it must feel so much harder.
I can't even imagine what it actually feels like, but I can see how it affects them. Yeah. And I always say, guys, your 20s, it's a blur. Don't worry about it. You're still, you know, your frontal lobes are not even developed. You're pretty stupid at this point, and it's going to get better. But I think the 20s are brutal.
Yeah. So we haven't even, because we've been having so much fun talking to you about everything,
which
is truly your gift, Lisa.
I do have the gift to gab.
Melrose Place.
It's great. You have
you have the gift of getting to what's really authentic and true. But now let's get back to shallow. Let's take a step back to shallow.
Okay, I can quickly go shallow.
Shallow is you came on in season 5.
And did you audition at that time?
I did not.
Okay.
See, this is interesting. I don't know if you'll remember, but they had cast another actress to play Taylor McBride.
Yes, and that actress
was Hunter Tylo, and she happened to be pregnant.
Oh, yes.
And so, if you remember, they felt that this character of Taylor McBride would not behoove them to cast a pregnant woman. Cut to, of course, the lawsuit that she filed, and a $5 million lawsuit, I believe.
Did she win?
She did. And I'll never forget, Heather and I had to go testify, and we were both pregnant.
You were?
I'm chills up and down my body. Chills. We were both pregnant on that witness stand. Okay? What?
Wait, you were testifying what?
Was that part of your testimony?
We had to go and testify on the side of spelling. You know, we were subpoenaed. Right. And I'll just never forget that I don't even know if they knew I was pregnant. Heather was much more. I mean, she was like very pregnant. Yeah. And I had just gotten pregnant.
So was that part of your testimony, or was that just knowledge that you had that
I can't remember. I bet it was. I'm sure they knew at the time. The irony of it was I was pregnant. And, whenever you get a role that somebody else lost, it never really feels 100% good.
Mm-hmm.
Even though this was a big break for me to get this role, I got it under circumstances that didn't feel clean. And I didn't audition for it. I was with Joan Green at the time. She's the manager of Heather.
Yes.
And so Joan...
Wasn't she yours too?
Yes.
Oh, she was yours too.
And Josie.
And Josie. So she just worked her magic. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And next thing I know, I'm playing this role. And but it just never felt completely clean because of the circumstance.
Well, you were fantastic in the role.
Thank you.
Nobody can imagine it any other way.
That's true.
You brought a cuckoo, but also there was a sense of comedy and like self-awareness in some of your stuff. Maybe when your character got more crazy.
She was so crazy.
It seemed like we were talking about with Laura's character, and when Jack was here, you guys had later years, there was like this tongue-in-cheek kind of thing fun about it.
Well, I think, you all set that tone. So to come in season 5, you guys were a well-oiled machine at that point.
Well, we were all sort of scattering. So did you come in at the beginning of 5?
Mm-hmm.
So we worked together for a season, but they were sort of, because they knew I was leaving, so I was doing less and less and less.
Yes,
and they were building you guys up and up and up.
That's right. That's right.
And then 6 and 7, did it feel different or did it feel the same to you because you just sort of had this 3-year run?
Well, I think it felt the same to me because I didn't know any different.
Right.
I think it would be different if I'd come on season 1.
Yeah.
It just
So this was your cast. Like the new cast was your cast.
Yeah. And you were there.
I was there for 5, and then I left after 5 as well.
Oh, you did? That's right. That's right. I didn't get to work with you guys.
No, I was that season 5 finale was
right.
Yeah.
But because they were sort of, because I remember an episode at the end where I had one scene in an episode because they were trying to make the audience forget about us.
Right.
Oh, is that what they were doing?
They were tapering our characters
out.
out.
They were writing us out bit by bit, hoping the audience wouldn't notice that some of their old friends left.
But I think more during your years, Lisa, there was more of that kind of like physical comedy. I'm thinking about you like knocking on the door with Jack and then he like says go away, and then you run around and you're like in a slip or something. And you're just so good at that physical comedy that
it was really fun. And the time where I took the door and I smashed my face with the door.
What is that?
It was so much fun. It did. It got crazier and crazier after you guys left.
Yo, K-pop fans, it's your boy Bomhan, and I'm bringing you something epic. Introducing the K Factor, the podcast that takes you straight into the heart of K-pop. We're talking music reviews, exclusive interviews, and deep dives into the industry like never before. From producers and choreographers to idols and trainees, we're bringing you the real stories behind the music that you love. And yeah, we're keeping it 100, discussing everything from comebacks and concepts to the mental health side of the business. Because K-pop isn't just a genre, it's a whole world, and we're exploring every corner of it. And here's the best part. Fans get to call in, drop opinions, and even join us live at events. You never know where we might pop up next. So listen to the K Factor on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. Are you ready? Let's go.
The American West with Dan Flores is the latest show from the Meat Eater Podcast Network, hosted by me, writer and historian Dan Flores, and brought to you by Velvet Buck. This podcast looks at a West available nowhere else. Each episode, I'll be diving into some of the lesser-known histories of the West. I'll then be joined in conversation by guests such as Western historian Dr. Randall Williams and best-selling author and Meat Eater founder Stephen Rinna.
I'll correct my kids now and then where they'll say when cave people were here. And I'll say, it seems like the Ice Age people that were here didn't have a real affinity for caves.
So join me starting Tuesday, May 6th, where we'll delve into stories of the West and come to understand how it helps inform the ways in which we experience the region today.
Listen to The American West with Dan Flores on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
On November 5th, 2018, at 6:33 a.m., a red Volkswagen Golf was found abandoned in a ditch out in Sleep Hole Valley. The driver's seat door was open. No traces of footsteps leaving the vehicle. No belongings were found, except for a cassette tape lodged in the player. On that tape were 10 vile,
No! Ah!
grotesque,
Oh my God.
horrific stories that to this day have been kept restricted from the public until now. You feeling this too? A horror anthology podcast. Listen on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
In 1978, Roger Caron's first book was published, and he was unlike any first-time author Canada had ever seen.
Roger Caron was 16 when first convicted.
Has spent 24 of those years in jail.
12 years in solitary.
He went from an ex-con to a literary darling almost overnight.
He was instantly a celebrity.
He was an adrenaline junkie, and he was the star of the show.
Go Boy is the gritty true story of how one man fought his way out of some of the darkest places imaginable.
I had a knife go in my stomach, puncture my spleen, break my rib. I had my guts all in my hands.
Only to find himself back where he started.
Roger's saying is, I've never hurt anybody but myself. And I said, oh, you're so wrong. You're so wrong on that one, Rod.
From Campside Media and iHeart Podcasts, listen to Go Boy on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The #1 hit true crime podcast, The Girlfriends, is back with something new, The Girlfriends Spotlight. Our first 2 series introduce you to an incredible gang of women who teamed up to fight injustice, showing just how powerful sisterly solidarity can be. We're keeping this mission alive with the Girlfriends Spotlight. Each week, a different woman sits down with me, Anna Sinfield, to share their incredible story of triumph over adversity. Like Luann, who was raised in a secretive religious community.
Do I want my freedom or do I want my family?
And found a way to escape.
When she said, you know you can leave, right? It was a light bulb.
And now helps other women get out too.
I loved my girls. I still love my girls.
So come and join our girl gang. Listen to The Girlfriend Spotlight on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Heard you on the podcast talk about, did you have a stunt double at times? Were there stunts
we did.
you had to do?
Yeah, because I remember we went to Oxnard and there was like a train accident and I don't know who was on the train tracks.
Don't look at us.
You know,
we
you
were,
guys,
we
I
were
can't
not
even remember.
there.
I was with Jack and
Yeah.
yeah. God, I don't even know who else was there, but there was crazy.
And your general story arc was like that you came in as the sister of Peter, who's Jack Wagner's, Peter's ex-wife, and you were the sister, but then you had
I don't remember that.
You had a thing for him, for Peter. And you were
Shocker.
kind of like the little sister or whatever.
Well,
you
and
had
I
a
was
thing
married
for him,
to Kyle.
but you were married to
Yeah.
Kyle, who's
So
Raw Besties.
I
yeah.
remember, you have memories of some things and not memories of others. I remember one day where I had to film Make Out with Jack and Michael in the same day.
Ew.
I mean,
she means ew, two in one day.
No,
not ew
two
them.
in one day.
Yeah,
though.
right.
I mean,
Not them
I'll
specifically,
never
just
forget
yeah.
that. Never had to do that again. But yeah, I went for
that
both
was
of
Melrose
them.
Place.
Was
I
it
went
double
to-
ups or all in one episode?
That's a good question because those double ups were intense where
Yeah.
we would film 2 episodes at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
It was probably double ups, and that's
I
why
think it was double ups.
I happened to kiss them both on the same day, like literally 1 hour Jack, next hour Michael.
Yeah. So for the audience's sake, at least it was an episode apart. But Yeah.
So weird.
I remember thinking, like, on Melrose Place, just every day they bring in someone for you to make out with. That's never happened again. I thought, I wish I'd enjoyed it more.
I know,
like, it was just
right?
Like,
Same.
That is no one cared. No one lets me kiss anybody anymore.
I know.
It was like
that and the soap opera. We were always making out in the soap opera.
Of course.
So, and you had done Days of Our Lives
For 3 years.
prior
Yes.
to Melrose Place.
Yes.
But how many episodes? I think 600 episodes of Days of Our Lives.
I did?
I believe so.
What?
And for
In 3
context, for Melrose, it was 60 episodes,
Yeah.
probably, right?
Yeah.
So, but 600
Yeah.
and something?
I can't imagine
episodes.
that. But I mean, 3 years.
That's how they go, yeah.
Well, didn't you go back later though?
I did a couple times.
And
I just,
how did that? How was
feel?
it? How did it feel?
I would go back. I think I went back 10 years later and then 10 years later. So 2
Really?
different hits in
Was
those.
it different casts even?
Pretty much the same.
The same. They stay.
Wow,
they
that's
stick
fascinating.
around.
They stay there the whole time. I mean, they have been there for 40, 50 years.
Wow.
Imagine that you have a job for that amount of time. Now, some of the cast would change, but half of it would be the same. So you would go back, I mean, playing the same character that would play off of, Marlena or Hope or Bo. Wild.
So you've done things for a long time that are really like momentous shows. What do you feel like you're associated with? Which?
Well, Days playing Billy Reed and Melrose playing Taylor, for sure, are my 2 biggest things I think I'm known for. And then, of course, Housewives.
Yeah.
With all the stuff in between, I did the talk show for a while, Soap Talk for 4 years.
I was a guest on that.
Were you?
Yeah,
of course.
were you guys
all probably
I
were.
think Doug was too.
Doug was for sure.
Yeah.
So we did that for 4 years. And then I did Dancing with the Stars and The Apprentice. And I mean, I went down the reality rabbit hole for sure.
So, Dancing with the Stars. Everybody talks about how hard it is. How many hours?
It's hard.
Is it like how many hours a day are you dancing?
Well, we were season 2. So
Okay.
at that point, we weren't dancing as much as they ended up dancing 8 hours a day because we just didn't even know better. We were like, we did it as long as we could, but then it got more and more competitive and they were dancing 8 hours a day.
Wow.
And it was very difficult because it's so physical. And the people that do the best are the Olympians and the athletes because it's
Gymnasts.
crazy physical energy that you put out there.
Is
Crazy.
ballroom dancing supposed to be that physical and
It
that
is.
athletic? Is it really?
It should be an Olympic sport.
It's
Oh, really?
absolutely
Oh,
athletic.
was that hard?
Absolutely.
Well, I know it's
Oh.
athletic. I just never thought
And
it
you
was.
would injure yourself. I mean,
Yes,
you would
I've
your
heard.
feet would hurt. Or there was one point we were doing some dance where Louis would grab me around my ribs, and I'm sure I bruised a rib. I was in so much pain. I mean, it's very, very difficult, but also the time of my life. I loved it so much.
Yeah, and you're super athletic. So,
I think I am, and I'm competitive, and I
Yeah.
loved that experience. One of my favorite things to do.
how far did you make it? Did you win?
Semifinal. I got number 4. I didn't win, but it was the year that Drew Lachey won.
Oh.
And he, a boy bander, dancer, like just, some people go in there and they just get it. And he was a performer and he knew how to do it.
And did it feel like as the weeks went by, like you wanted it more and
Of
more and more?
course, you get so competitive.
Yeah.
But it was also live. And it was terrifying. It was terrifying because, what if you black out? What if you mess up, slip?
Wow.
Yeah, it was terrifying. It was one of probably the hardest things I've ever done.
So, but you were in your 30s?
I was
when you did-
42
You're 42.
when I did it.
Wow.
I mean, the thing that shocks me is when I see women who go back, like, I'm 60 and I'm going to be dancing with this.
I don't think I could do it at this point.
No, no, it's just too
I mean,
physical.
some of the women that did it in their 70s, I don't know how you do that. I really
mean,
don't.
Good for them for signing up.
Yeah.
Well, you see their dancing partners dancing around them.
Yes.
It's kind
Yes.
of
Yeah.
like
And they
you
pull
see.
them around.
Yeah.
Smile.
But no, I think I've done that. And then out of that, what was great about that is I'd always wanted to do Broadway. And so I was able to audition for Chicago.
Yes.
And I literally called them myself and said, I am ready to come audition for you, thinking, I can dance now, so I can do it. So I just believed I could do it.
Wow.
And I did it. I got it. But they didn't come
Good
to
for
me
you.
and say, we really want you. I went to them and said, please, let me fly myself to New York. I want to come audition. And I did.
That's amazing.
Good for you.
That's what came out of Dancing with the
Now,
Stars.
did you already know how to sing?
I had been singing my whole life. I was in like choirs, and I mean, I wasn't a singer, but I'd studied singing enough to where I could carry a tune.
Wow. So what was that like?
Yeah, what was that like?
Unbelievable.
Broadway.
8 shows a week.
Mm-hmm.
You could only eat, sleep, and do the show.
Yeah.
And I had the kids with me. I think they were like 5 and 8 at the time. Not their favorite experience. They didn't love coming to New York and had, we were working constantly and you had to like really focus, and it was not their favorite time.
Right. Well, plus mommy leaves at what, 3 p.m?
No, 6. But then you don't see her because she sleeps in,
Oh,
till 10. You're off that schedule. That was very challenging.
Right.
But
How long did you do
great.
the show? How long?
3 months.
Wow.
3 months. And I did it with Harry. So Harry ended up playing Billy Flynn.
No way.
Yes, and get this. So I have to fly myself to New York and audition and go through the whole process. So after I finally get it, they said, "What about Harry?" And I said, "What about Harry?" And they said, "What do you think about Harry playing Billy Flynn?" And I was like, "That's a great idea.
Maybe he could audition."
Hi, Harry. Do you want to play Billy Flynn? You don't have to audition or anything. You can just
I'm
show
offering you a
up.
part.
Yes, please.
And
So he didn't have to audition or anything. He just got the part. And I was like, he's been that lucky his entire career. It's just the way that it
Well,
goes.
he has such a hustler for a wife. You're like clearing the way and making opportunities for him, including a tomato sauce, I might add.
Truly. Yes. Listen, I
today.
hustle for everybody.
I know, you're just like...
I hustle for those kids. I mean, you name it.
But it's a natural thing about
It
you,
is
isn't
a
it?
natural thing.
It feels like natural to you.
I don't know where it comes from because both of my parents, I was an only child. I grew up an only child. And both of my parents were not super, hustle-like. They just weren't. My dad was an artist. My mom, stay-at-home mom. Where'd the drive come from?
Wait, where did the money come from? You had an artist father and a stay-at-home mom?
Yeah, but he had a job at Harry and David.
Oh, okay.
So he at least had salary that came in. Yes.
Got it.
But, just very middle class.
Yeah.
I just don't know where the drive came from. I think it came from wanting to get out of Medford and, live a different life.
But you also seem to have this, why not? Which I super admire. Like, I think that's such a great trait to go through life with. I had a therapist say once, the most damaging feeling you can have is fear of disappointing people because it's so limiting. And I feel like your attitude is, I'll try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, which is such a great attitude.
I've never heard anybody state it like that, but I think you're absolutely right. I do say, why not?
Yeah,
I'm game. Harry,
I've heard you say those exact words so many times.
I have. And Harry always says, you're game. You're just game. And I am. I like new, challenging experiences. I think it keeps you alive.
Well, I would say, too, like talking about, we're talking about how do you have a long-term marriage? Like, you said Harry's incredibly patient. He is. He's patient and calm. And I'm sure that energy, like if you guys aren't opposites because you're really grounded and spiritual and thoughtful and loving, generous people, you're the same in the important ways.
That's true.
But that energy of why not, I'm sure he's like, great. Like it gets him out and moving. He'd probably be home reading a book all the time if not for you. You take him out in the world.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I think we do the same for each other. His interests are so different from mine that, he pulls me into his, I pull him into mine, or he watches from afar and is like, wow, crazy. Wow, look at what she's doing. And I watch from afar and go, how cool. He's like helping the world. He's doing amazing things. And it's
kind of a brainiac.
He's total brainiac.
Physics and stuff. And
he has a fusion energy company.
Yeah.
He's really, really smart. He's a great actor. He's just interested in things that I'm curious about. Like I didn't have the best education. He did. He graduated from Yale. So I've learned more from Harry than I ever did from school.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
What I love is the respect, that mutuality, and that like you let him go do his world and he lets you do yours. I mean, I don't think you get more polar opposite than a fusion company and you like doing a runway in Paris in crazy outfits.
I know, right?
It's beautiful, isn't it? That a marriage can hold all of that.
It can, it so can. I mean, our marriage has held a lot, and I think it's really why we're still together.
Yeah.
Well, because you enjoy it about each other. I think that sometimes people are opposite. They resent each other being different.
Yes.
And you guys, what you just said, what I heard, you appreciate the differences. Like they're positives. And that's such a great attitude.
I do. And, again, we have to work at it. You have to work at it. There are times when, we've gone to therapy and whatever we need to do because we're not connecting or, we're just living separately. We need to come together. I mean, we're very cognizant, I think, of the work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And
you can get back to enjoying each other, which you do most of the time.
I think that's all we can really ask for. That is the most valuable thing. I think is that when you can go, oh, there's a separation. Oh, yeah. I need more. Oh, I need to connect, and you have someone there to meet you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just being aware of it.
Yes.
Because we all get off on our thing, and things seem so important, and you're in your little tunnel vision, and then it's like, I need that connection. I need that grounding.
Yes. And I think that's what we do for each other.
That's great.
For sure.
Yeah.
And when we notice that we're not, we're like, I need this. And we're able to say to the other person, listen, I need this. I want to be more of a team.
I heard you on your last podcast saying you all are going to take a trip. You need to take a trip. So when's that happening?
Oh my God.
Or wait, maybe you did that months ago. I don't know when you recorded it,
well,
but you were like,
we did take a little trip for our anniversary. Oh. We did go to Two Bunch Palms, which we've been going to for like
nice.
Freaking.
I hear it's quite different now.
Quite different.
What do we think
What's
of it?
What's it like now?
Well, I don't love change, but I never loved change. Who loves change?
Welcome to Courtney Thornsman.
Yeah. So Courtney, it's changed a lot. There's some basics still there, like the hot pool that you sit in, the natural hot springs.
The lithium pool.
Yes, the lithium pool, which I love, but everything else has changed. I prefer it the way it used to be.
Was it
so funky?
Maybe someone else bought it.
Yeah.
Maybe
Are they turtles?
Is it more bougie? Is it like it's not
no
as
turtles anymore? Oh, good.
Yes.
It's more
bougie, but
it was
minor.
very rustic.
It was very rustic. Yeah. It's still rustic, but it's more like kind of milk toast. As much as I love it, it's not like super fancy. It's kind of in the middle.
Do you still go down to that dark basement for your massages?
No.
Oh no!
See, they changed all that. The dark basement. I loved it with the pink tile.
So to many people, this sounds like a good thing. Like the change is like that sounds great. And now that they don't have a dark basement,
it's a fabulous place. But we loved the little simple things, and we'd sit in that like sauna.
Yes.
It's like they put it over your body. It's like a plastic thing and your head stuck out. And they like put tea inside of it and it would steam you. Like weird things like that.
It would steep you. Like your
mud bath. They had the mud baths that are gone.
Well, the mud baths so unsanitary.
Can you imagine during COVID? You're in other people's mud. Mud.
Yeah.
Mud. You're just getting your naked.
Let's tell the audience what we're talking about.
And we fucking did it.
Can you imagine what they're thinking? Is this a cult?
I don't even know if they have mud baths. And if they do, they put in fresh mud for you. But it's a very weird
in the desert
thing to do.
It was very weird. I did it one time, and I think that was it. You're just like, something not right about this.
My girlfriend did it. She's like, I've been getting mud out of my ass for 4 days.
Yes.
Yep.
And I did a mud bath
and then
once.
they would try to put hot water in it to clean it. What? It's mud.
Yeah. Still mud.
Oh my God.
All right, let's we were speaking a bit ago about new things, that you're so open to doing new things and trying new things. And one of the new things you're doing, I heard you've optioned a book and you have a production company and you're amazing.
Yes. We've optioned this book called A Shoe Story. And, my publicist brought it to me actually. He had taken a couple of years off during COVID and worked for an actor's production company. So he came out of publicity and his job was to option books. So he came to me with this. He goes, I love this book. I think it'd be so fun for you. Why don't we do it? And I was like, okay, again, why not?
Yeah. Why not?
And shoes?
Lisa.
Me?
About shoes. It's a really darling story. I really connected to it. And I thought, let's see where it goes. I don't know what's going to happen. We have to write it. We have to do everything and sell it. But I think it's an interesting new thing. And I love
Good for you.
I think it's a natural
That's
for
amazing.
you, Lisa. And I just encourage you and support you to go into that development. We've been dabbling in that for a few years now.
Have you?
It never ends, but it's a long process.
Yeah.
But you're made for that. You're made for producing and
we'll
creating.
See. I don't know.
Just hang
It'll
in
be
there.
First.
No, I
Just
think
hang
it's
in
true.
there.
You have all the elements.
Yeah.
You'd be great at it. But here's what I think. So if it's your movie and you're the star and you're the producer, I'd like you to make Harry audition.
I
Yeah.
will. I will.
It's time.
And I won't be the star. I would take a different role. The star
Yeah.
is much younger. We have to go with a young one for that. But I do think Harry will audition.
I think he should. It's time he worked for his, his good luck.
He's just
He
been
needs to-
handed it all.
Yeah.
I'll just throw my hat in if you need a director. I have directed a Lifetime movie.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, and I
Well,
shadowed a show for a whole
fabulous.
season, and I love it.
Do you love directing?
Yeah, I love it. It's a ton of work, but it's kind of like you can show up looking like whatever, and then it's
Yeah.
more about your head and your creativity and your logic and decision making that you have to show up with every day, not like just how you look and go learn your lines.
Well,
That kind
I
of
don't
like-
want that pressure.
Yeah, no, you
That's-
should have
that's
someone
a
else.
lot.
It's a lot,
Yeah.
especially if you're doing everything. But at any rate, I just feel like you should definitely go give that a shot.
I'm
Go
gonna
down
see
there.
where it goes.
Yo, K-pop fans, it's your boy Bomhan, and I'm bringing you something epic. Introducing the K Factor, the podcast that takes you straight into the heart of K-pop. We're talking music reviews, exclusive interviews, and deep dives into the industry like never before. From producers and choreographers to idols and trainees, we're bringing you the real stories behind the music that you love. And yeah, we're keeping it 100, discussing everything from comebacks and concepts to the mental health side of the business. Because K-pop isn't just a genre, it's a whole world, and we're exploring every corner of it. And here's the best part. Fans get to call in, drop opinions, and even join us live at events. You never know where we might pop up next. So listen to the K Factor on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. Are you ready? Let's go.
The American West with Dan Flores is the latest show from the Meat Eater Podcast Network, hosted by me, writer and historian Dan Flores, and brought to you by Velvet Buck. This podcast looks at a West available nowhere else. Each episode, I'll be diving into some of the lesser-known histories of the West. I'll then be joined in conversation by guests such as Western historian Dr. Randall Williams and best-selling author and Meat Eater founder Stephen Rinna.
I'll correct my kids now and then where they'll say when cave people were here. And I'll say, it seems like the Ice Age people that were here didn't have a real affinity for caves.
So join me starting Tuesday, May 6th, where we'll delve into stories of the West and come to understand how it helps inform the ways in which we experience the region today.
Listen to The American West with Dan Flores on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
On November 5th, 2018, at 6:33 a.m., a red Volkswagen Golf was found abandoned in a ditch out in Sleep Hole Valley. The driver's seat door was open. No traces of footsteps leaving the vehicle. No belongings were found, except for a cassette tape lodged in the player. On that tape were 10 vile,
No! Ah!
grotesque,
Oh my God!
horrific stories that to this day have been kept restricted from the public until now. You feeling this too? A horror anthology podcast. Listen on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
In 1978, Roger Caron's first book was published, and he was unlike any first-time author Canada had ever seen.
Roger Caron was 16 when first convicted.
Has spent 24 of those years in jail.
12 years in solitary.
He went from an ex-con to a literary darling almost overnight.
He was instantly a celebrity.
He was an adrenaline junkie, and he was the star of the show.
Go Boy is the gritty true story of how one man fought his way out of some of the darkest places imaginable.
I had a knife go in my stomach, puncture my spleen, break my rib. I had my guts all in my hands.
Only to find himself back where he started.
Roger's saying is, I've never hurt anybody but myself. And I said, oh, you're so wrong. You're so wrong on that one, Rod.
From Campside Media and iHeart Podcasts, listen to Go Boy on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The #1 hit true crime podcast, The Girlfriends, is back with something new, The Girlfriends Spotlight. Our first 2 series introduce you to an incredible gang of women who teamed up to fight injustice, showing just how powerful sisterly solidarity can be. And we're keeping this mission alive with The Girlfriends Spotlight. Each week, a different woman sits down with me, Anna Sinfield, to share their incredible story of triumph over adversity. Like Tracy, who survived a terrifying attack.
I remembered that feeling of, okay, this is how I die.
And turned that darkness into the most incredible journey.
I want to take over the world and just leave this place better than I found it.
Which took her all the way to Paris for the Paralympic Games.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
So come and join our girl gang. Listen to The Girlfriends Spotlight on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you have any crazy, everyone wants to know, any behind the scenes stories, any?
I have one.
Okay.
I have one that always pops up. So while I was working with Heather, we were nemesises. Nemesises? Can you
Maybe
Nemesi. Yeah. So we were nemesi, and I'll never forget. I don't know why. And, you know, we had a great time working together. I learned so much from Heather because she really set the tone.
Yes.
Really set the tone, and I'd never done a nighttime series like that. She was just so lovely and so personable and so giving and always prepared, and she just ran that set really beautifully.
She did.
Didn't she?
Yeah.
I really learned from her
She was
a great deal.
Funny and humble.
Funny and humble, all of it. Like, she was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So at one point, I'll never forget, the tabloids came out with this story that I was so jealous of Heather and so, like, freaked out by her that one day she was getting out of her car and she somehow maneuvered to the back of the car and her door was open. And I took my car and I rammed her door off of her car.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what? And they printed it. I was like, where do they come up with like that story?
Yeah.
So that's the one that
So that
really-
wasn't true?
Oh, so
that was not true. It was not true. And then another time I'll never forget, when she was pregnant. And, you know, it was physical by this point. You know, she's always hitting me. I'm like slapping her.
Yes,
And
I
it was
saw that scene.
So funny. It's so many times.
Punched you.
I'll never forget this. They cut a hole in the floor because she had to do some scene where she needed to be hit and lie down. And I believe they were hiding her pregnancy.
Yeah.
On the show.
They were.
So she had to lie on the floor with her big belly in the cutout.
Oh my gosh.
Like, what do we do for a living, right?
So creative. Problem solver.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. And we just laughed about it. Like, you just did what you were told to
hilarious.
do on that show.
Yeah, you really lucked out because you got to work with Heather and Jack, right?
Oh, my
and they
God.
they were both so incredibly funny and
So
light.
funny. I mean,
So much
Jack
fun.
at first. Okay, first Jack, I was like, I'm not so sure about you.
Really?
Yes, because I'll never forget. It was probably double ups, doing 2 different shows for 2 different, you know, whatevers. And he was directing me.
Oh.
He
And
started-
you're in scenes
But he
with
wasn't
him.
directing the episode.
And
he
you're
was
in-
just
No, he's directing me.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Oh.
Ooh.
While
As
in scenes with him?
An actor.
Okay.
Did you have that too?
No, I could see that that's what you were explaining.
Okay, so
that's what you were
he's
describing.
directing me in my scenes, and I'm like, not used to that. And I'm like, I don't like this. I'm not sure about this. I don't like it. So I'll never forget. We were in the trailer one day. Remember how he was always looking at himself in the mirror, and we used to give him such a hard time about that. And you know, he was so narcissistic. I mean, we all are, but he
with the
was just
hair.
on a level that, you know, was
He
very
was boldly,
yeah.
As
yeah.
long as
Palpable.
he wasn't singing All I Need to himself.
I think he was doing that too. But I'll never forget, we were in the trailer, the makeup trailer, and he had said something to me that just really rubbed me the wrong way. And I just turned around and I just barked at him. I said, I don't ever want to see you direct me again. Don't you ever tell me what to do. And from that day on, he loved me so much because I literally stood up to him.
Uh-huh.
He was just testing me.
Yeah,
you know,
test.
he was just poking me and testing my will and how far he could go with me. And the minute I snacked him down, he was so cool and so lovely.
Oh, that's so it's hard for people out there who aren't actors, which is most of you probably. it's what we don't direct each other as actors. We act together, and the director tells us what to do because you don't want to think that you want to think your co-star is in the scene with you, not watching you from outside, judging what you're doing. It makes you feel very unsafe as an actor.
So I felt very unsafe because he was outside judging what I was doing and then telling me what to do.
Nobody should be doing that.
No.
It's not a thing.
And I'd
unless
never
he-
had it
not
before.
it's not a good thing.
You have your director tell you that. So when I basically stood up for myself and made a boundary, he so appreciated it. And he was my best friend from then on out.
He likes to be
That's great.
teased. He likes it when you call him. Then I think he can relax. When he knows he can play with you and trust you to take care of yourself, then he can relax and be fully himself.
And then we had great scenes.
Great.
After that.
Because you got to really play and you got to feel confident. Yeah.
Yes. It was a really interesting dynamic.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Well, I'm
testing the
sure. And
waters.
then the chemistry changed. Too,
Yes.
For the camera, for the audience.
Yes.
You know, it was
And
more
then
like-
how did your character end? Did you go off in the sunset? Did you die? Do you remember?
Did you
stay till the
pregnant? No, because I was pregnant.
Okay.
And again, pregnant women on Melrose was not
Don't do
really-
well.
Only Heather's allowed to be pregnant.
Well, yeah. So
course.
it was like, okay, time to go. And I remember driving off into the sunset.
Was your character pregnant?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh yeah, they wrote that in.
Do you remember whose baby it was?
No.
Well, the whole storyline was it was
it
somebody
Jack's or
Kyle's.
Michael's or Kyle's?
Or
I
Michael?
I don't know. You kept telling all of
Could it
them.
have been
You made
Michael?
out with so many. Well, maybe,
That
maybe
it
that
was-
one day when you made out with everybody.
Well, I
so
did.
maybe we don't know.
We don't. I don't remember.
You know, it
Someone
could be
will
all
tell
of
us.
theirs. You know, it could be 3 guys and Lisa's baby.
Yeah.
I mean, it really could. It was Melrose Place.
spin off.
I feel like it was Michael's, like as a twist on
I
all this.
feel like it was too, but
I think it was Michael's.
after 30 years, I can't remember. I need to go back and look it up. But I do believe I left pregnant. I don't think they hid it. I don't think we hid it.
You think you left pregnant
Yeah.
showing? Okay.
I think so.
Well, you were in such skimpy, like you were always in a teeny little dress, tight. I never saw anything. So I don't know.
I know. I have to. I have to go back and look. I don't know.
Yeah.
So then, when was the last time you actually watched an episode of Melrose?
It was Michael.
Oh,
okay.
our producer
It
looked
was
it up.
Michael.
Phew.
It's been 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're
what's
not
it like-
expected to remember these
No.
crazy turns of events.
No, and there were so many crazy things that Taylor did that I can't remember. I just did it, you know?
Yeah. And it changes week to week. It's not like a long drawn out storyline. You're going to go through lots of
Yeah.
storylines in just a few weeks.
And it's very hard to remember, especially when you're doing 2 episodes at a time.
Yeah. Because Aaron wanted syndication, and the more we would shoot every year, the more money they'd get. We all
amazing.
get, as Chip pointed out to us when we
Right?
had Chip in here.
That's right, Chip.
And Chip was like, "Well, we all got more that week, right? We
God.
got double
got
the money."
paid twice.
Didn't we get like,
He
what
was
was it,
here.
33 episodes or something? It was like
Yeah.
a huge number that is
Yeah.
unheard of.
It's insane.
I'd like that about now.
I
It would
mean,
be crazy.
I don't know
now
if
they
we
do
could-
8 episodes
I
a year.
know.
Yeah,
know.
we really were
Exhausting.
lucky.
Really, we're lucky.
Yeah.
Those
So
were the
what did
90s.
you do when you drove off into the sunset? Then you went and you were pregnant, so you were having
I had Delilah.
your first
Yes.
at that point, and
Yes. And then I had postpartum for 15 months. So I was for
Right.
15 months. And then I went back to work. I think I got a Lifetime movie. I think that's the first thing I did. I think it was Another Woman's Husband with Gail O'Grady. I went back and did
Oh, that was a great one. I remember that.
I believe it was that. And it was like a swimming one.
Yeah, that one was great.
She didn't know how to swim or something.
That's when Lifetime moved. I mean, they're still good, but remember they were like events.
They
Like
were
everyone-
events.
They'd have,
Yeah.
there would be billboards on Sunset for Lifetime
Yes.
movies,
Right.
remember?
Yeah.
And everybody
Oh, yes.
would watch them.
the title was
Those were
Another Woman's
amazing.
Husband.
Another Woman's Husband.
Sounds
Because
like
I did one
Melrose.
titled The Other Woman.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, was it the same story?
Similar,
Are
I'm
we
sure.
Probably similar.
They're all
same.
similar titles, you
Right.
guys.
They
Don't
really
you guys
are.
have one right in
It's
that
like
vein?
the same, yeah.
An affair to remember?
Writers for Lifetime. They're just writing all these things.
So crazy. And then I did one with Harry about a sex addict.
I remember that.
Sex, Lies, and Obsession.
Oh.
Yes.
And I was 5 months pregnant with Amelia while I shot that. Well, we shot that in Toronto in the winter.
And that was
Oh,
before anybody
God.
was talking about sex addiction. I remember what
Very
a
beginning.
big risk that
It was
to
a
do.
big deal. No one had
Yes.
talked about it. And of course, it was a true story. And Harry played the sex addict beautifully.
Wow, very
Well, he
brave
had
of him to
experience
play
from his-
that.
Well, he played one of the first gay characters in Making
That's
Love.
right.
So
Oh,
he
right.
has that in his
That's
DNA.
right.
He likes to break the glass ceiling when it comes to that.
He'll take a risk.
Absolutely.
Wow. Did it feel scary at the time?
It did. It was weird because we'd never really heard about it. You know, sex addiction was not something that anybody really talked about. So it was really, and it was so interesting that I was actually pregnant while we were shooting it. It was, again, always a weird setup.
So documentary.
Yeah.
Nice.
No,
but also you're so vulnerable when you're pregnant.
Yeah.
So I imagine that was hard to film.
It was hard. And we hid the pregnancy.
Wow. Yeah.
So I had big coats. And again, I think it's really, when I see pregnant women working now, it's just like you are so vulnerable in that time.
Yeah.
So do you remember we crossed paths when I was pregnant? We were both doing, I think it was a benefit theater thing. Penny Marshall was directing the vagina monologues.
Yes, I actually do remember it.
And we were both doing that.
Pregnant?
And
On the stools?
Did you guys do it together?
We were all like assigned different monologues. We were doing different pieces.
Yes, I vaguely remember sitting there on stools reading it.
And I was pregnant in rehearsals in the theater, and Penny, God bless her, she was smoking like a chimney, and I was not. I actually didn't stay and finish it because I was.
That's why I don't remember
in the
there
middle.
the
It was a
whole
tough
time.
pregnancy, and like it was just smoke and all that stuff.
right.
So yeah, I didn't stay. But
She was a trip. Penny Marshall was a trip.
Yeah.
She was a trip.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And here we are. We're still here.
And here we are. Isn't that so sweet? I know.
It's really
been
quite
such
cool.
a joy to see you. I was so excited to see you in the
Likewise.
lobby,
Yeah.
and it's been so much fun to talk to you. You are a
Likewise.
delight, Lisa.
Well,
Rinna.
gosh, so are you,
really
Courtney Thorne
are.
Smith, and all of you. You guys are so
Well, when
cute.
you
I
guys
liked
were
you, and I
awesome.
liked you back then too.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, oh, I don't really want to go do this because I didn't really
so
get along
glad
with
you
them.
did.
You guys are so great. I mean,
Thank you so
we
much
had a great
for coming
time
out here. So much
Well,
fun.
when you want a guest on your podcast, you can get all three of
I-
us. But
I will
it
call
sounds like
you.
you
Price
don't
of
need
zero.
anybody.
Well, you know, sooner or later we've got to have some guests. I
Maybe.
think everyone's going to
Yeah.
get tired of
Well,
us.
you know,
just
I did
talking.
LA Law with Harry.
Well,
a
yes, you
million years
did.
ago.
He
So
said
we could talk about that.
he brought that up today. He said, you know, she played.
Oh, he and
my
I have a lot
girlfriend.
of stories for off camera, for
Yes.
away from the. That was a very-
Where is the fun in that?
Yeah, this isn't a camera; it's a podcast.
That's right. You will come on it. That's a cute idea.
We'll talk a lot before, and then we'll.
And you can figure out what you want to say. Yes. yes. Well, thanks, girls, for
Thank
having
you
me.
for coming, Lisa. You're
Yeah,
an
thanks for
inspiration,
having
and
me.
you're amazing.
Oh, likewise, all of you.
That's really great.
Thank you. You too.
Yay!
Being able to say, I feel like crying, so I will cry. Today, I'm a little depressed.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and Deeply Well is a sanctuary for your healing. I'm Debbie Brown, healer, well-being expert, teacher, and fellow seeker. And each week, we explore what it means to become whole through soul-expanding conversations and practices.
Today, wow, I feel really powerful and ready to serve and use my skills. And it's like, that's the heart of what it is to be an authentic woman.
To hear this and more ways to prioritize your peace, listen to Deeply Well from the Black Effect Podcast Network on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
I'm Andrea Gunning, host of the podcast Betrayal. Police Lieutenant Joel Kern used his badge to fool everyone, most of all, his wife, Caroline.
He texted, I've ruined our lives. You're going to want to divorce me.
How far would he go to cover up what he'd done?
The fact that you lied is absolutely horrific, and quite frankly, I question how many other women are out there that may bring forward allegations in the future.
Listen to Betrayal starting on May 22nd on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Why is a soap opera western like Yellowstone so wildly successful? The American West with Dan Flores is the latest show from the Meat Eater Podcast Network. So join me starting Tuesday, May 6th, where we'll delve into stories of the West and come to understand how it helps inform the ways in which we experience the region today.
Listen to The American West with Dan Flores on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
In 2020, a group of young women found themselves in an AI-fueled nightmare.
Someone was posting photos. It was just me naked. Well, not me, but me with someone else's body parts.
This is Levittown, a new podcast from iHeart Podcasts, Bloomberg, and Kaleidoscope about the rise of deepfake pornography and the battle to stop it. Listen to Levittown on Bloomberg's Big Take podcast. Find it on the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Clayton English.
I'm Greg Lott.
And this is season 2 of the War on Drugs podcast.
Yes, sir. Last year, a lot of the problems of the drug war. This year, a lot of the biggest names in music and sports.
It's kind of star-studded a little bit, man.
We met them at their homes. We met them at their recording studios. Stories matter, and it brings a face to it.
It makes it real.
It really does. It makes it real.
Listen to new episodes of the War on Drugs podcast season 2 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to an iHeart podcast.